Welcome back, my friends, for episode 34 of Beyond Bricks and Mortar. Now, today's episode is a special one. There's no better way to really say it. But today I'm joined by Carmen Pucci. Not only a dear, dear friend, but for the better part of the last 10 years, Carmen has been my chief strategist and coach. An absolute icon in the world of fashion, in the world of business overall. Carmen has become a strategist by aligning and calibrating deeply with every person she works with. Now, I've been asked this question a lot of times. Why don't you work with a real estate coach? And my answer is always pretty much the same, that while I love the work that I do, while I love to sell homes, real estate is not the thing that wakes me up every single morning. But my creativity and my love for hospitality and being the bridge in those two worlds and working to the peak of my strengths with people. Carmen is an absolute mastermind when it comes to people. There's so much that I've learned from her over the years that having the opportunity to sit down with her and offer her a forum to not only share her story, but to share real value with the audience was incredibly exciting for me. I thought a lot about these questions that I asked her today, and I'm really excited for all of you to hear the answers. Now, through the years, as I've developed an affinity for mentorship and coaching myself, so much of what I've learned from Carmen over the years, I've imparted onto my team and the various people that I work with on a regular basis. When people ask me if I have any regrets about my world in business, I only answer one thing, is that everything I've done has led me to this moment in time. But if I could go back and change one thing, I would have seeked out mentorship sooner. I would have joined a team sooner. I would have looked for a coach sooner. Maybe then my success would have been a little bit more amplified in the earlier stages of my career, maybe a little bit more accelerated. However, that does not change the fact that being a successful entrepreneur, being a successful real estate professional especially, requires a tremendous amount of time and patience. Carmen has not only been a grounding force for me to keep me aligned with my goals and moving in a forward motion, but she has helped me understand that a real goal must scare the shit out of you. And that no matter what may be in front of us, whether it's good or bad, challenging or easy, we must play our game. So sit back and relax and take a deep breath of Carmen's perspective here, because maybe listening to this will give you a moment to introspect and figure out what might be missing and how you might be able to push yourself even further. Without any further ado, here she is, my dear friend and icon, Carmen Pucci. Welcome.
All right.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Great. I'm really excited to have you here. I feel like there's some weight that comes with this conversation.
Ooh.
You know, I don't know that I've ever felt this type of weight with the other 29 episodes I've done. I think that's because, you know, we have a very special relationship after, you know, close to a decade of knowing each other, maybe a little bit more than that. And I also really feel like there's a task in front of me here to make sure that the audience grabs as much value from this conversation as possible. I never have had 3 pages of questions before.
Oh, wow.
Not to say that we're going to get to every single one of them. And I told you this on the phone. If there was anyone that I ever envisioned myself doing a part 2 with, it would probably be you.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm honored.
With that, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here.
I tried to say as little as possible before we started this conversation to keep as much of it on camera. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, I don't remember you saying anything actually.
You showed up. I was like, get in there.
Just come.
Let's go. How are you? How's your day going?
Great. Really, really great. We're having it for me, when I say great, it means that health-wise, my son is great, my pup is great, and my clients are doing fantastically, which is the reality. That's
What's
what it is.
Better than that?
And on top of it, Italy is doing quite well in the Olympics. So, you know,
yes,
I follow the Olympics religiously.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like actually people from Europe follow the Olympics more closely than Americans do.
Most likely, even though you guys win a lot.
Yeah, we're always kind of the leading medalists.
You guys are big, it's China, and I mean, this time we don't have Russia, but China, Russia, and United States is like
historically speaking, yes,
big countries. You know, they have a lot of people. But is for me, and even part of this conversation, to look at these athletes, these human beings, like being there and give everything they have. And they started when they were 5 or 6. Right? Like, unless they are incredible talent, like Simone Biles, that she start late.
Yeah,
but, you know,
watching what she could do is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then seeing them falling, particularly gymnastic, right? You falling from, on your face, like literally. And first of all, it's dangerous, but it's also, everybody's looking at you.
Right.
And then you go back and you finish. And it's just like that for me is what, like a dedication, like grit, like, you're putting everything. And those are incredibly young athletes. So I am, and me, as a strategist, as a coach, as a human being, I mean, I love that type of strength.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think you also really like competition.
I love competition. I think that
you love to smoke your competition too.
Totally. I like for them to know who I am.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't start competition ever. It's funny. It's like fight. I don't like to fight. I don't start the competition. But once I'm in.
Yeah. If someone starts a fight, you'll finish it.
I'll finish it.
Yeah.
And the same thing is like, for competition, I might be like very like, no. But then once I'm in.
Yeah.
It's part of who I am. Is when I go to class, when I go to, it's the same thing. I cannot drag my feet. Isn't it funny? I drag my feet to class. I took a class yesterday.
Like a workout class?
Yeah, workout class, right? Pure Bar. And then she is a professional dancer. And I was like, I was just thinking. And she said, she didn't know me. And she said, like, take it easy. If you have to stop during class, just let me know. And I went, but then at the end, she was like, you're a beast.
Yeah.
And I said, it's just something else to go to go over. And that's what is for me. It's like, it's fun, of course, without hurting anybody, unless they ask to them. Well,
right. Like, I feel like if I had to quickly describe you, I would say you are not to be fucked with.
I heard that before. Yeah.
No, exactly. That's exactly it.
I take it as a compliment. Thank you.
Well, let's start with this. I speak about you quite a lot to friends.
I noticed. Thank you.
I've spoken, well, not referencing this podcast, but in general, I speak about you quite a lot. I reference and repeat many of the lessons and the stories that you've taught me over the years, especially from some of the more contentious moments where I was faced with what felt like really consequential decisions in my business and my life. For close to 10 years, you've been my coach. However, after all these years, I still seem to get it wrong. You correct me, and you make sure I know that, in fact, you are not a coach. You are a leadership and career strategist. So my first question to you is, how do you define exactly what it is that you do? And how do you articulate the impact your work has on your clients?
Wow, you start with the easy question. I love it. Okay.
Everybody responds the same way to my first question. They're like, oh, man.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Thank God I have this.
Fantastic.
So,
love that.
So can you repeat the question? I
Yes.
just want to be sure that I get it correctly.
How do you define exactly what it is that you do? And how do you articulate the impact your work has on your clients?
Okay. So what I do, I elevate your level of success and your level of impact that you have in your career. If somebody is coming to me just because they don't make enough money in their job, I'm like, I'm not it. I'm not the right person. Go to a coach, go to a cheerleader. I'm not that person. But if you have, and I noticed in the first 5 minutes of the conversation, because really people cannot wait to tell you who they are and what they want and what they like, as you well know. You just need to listen, which is something I love. And if I see that they want an impact in society and they just don't know how to, or they're a little bit lost, or they don't find the way, or they're just maybe pressuring themselves too much, or they don't have confidence, I'm like, okay, I can work with you. And I generally elevate the goal that they have, I give you a little more. And this is, again, this comes from also from dancing. If I ask somebody to dance 4 pirouettes, they're like, ugh. If I ask them to dance 7, they're going to be like, that's impossible. Just do it, and they're going to fall. But then when I ask, you know what, give me 4, they're going to be like, yeah. And they're going to do what they wouldn't be able to do. So having pursuing, I believe that pursuing your dreams and your career nowadays is more important than anything else. 30 years ago, 50 years ago, people had more attention to a family and other things. Today, people, they want to really create something. They really want to have an impact in the world.
Right.
So what I do, and the impact that I give to my client, is that they see the impact. And that happens in the first 4 sessions, as you know. You start to see, number one, oh, wow, this is who I am.
Yes.
I have an impact already. And then we build on top of that.
Yeah, I remember the very first time you and I met, and I went into the conversation very, very stubborn. It was kind of like, all right, like,
Yes.
like I know how ambitious I am. I know what I want. I know how much money I want to make. Like, there's not much a coach can really tell me that I don't already know I have to do.
That's a very nice way of putting it. You were a little bit rougher than that, but it's okay. I take it.
I was an asshole about it a little bit.
A little bit.
It's okay. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But it was very, very quick that I was kind of like, like I realized that there were things there that I really did need to work on, and even just things I needed to let go of that I was hanging on to. I had recently gotten out of a romantic relationship that was a very difficult breakup, more so because I felt a heavy-weighted guilt about the way I handled that situation, and that a lot of that stemmed from fear, and you immediately went there. And you not only immediately had me address it, but you immediately had me reach out to her to address it. And that was like, I couldn't envision a bigger fear at the time. But I think doing that kind of broke some degree of my fear of confrontation. I think it's still an underlying fear for me. I don't like confrontation generally, but that helped me see what it's like to confront it, to deal with it.
Yeah.
That was incredible. It was the first big step. And I think it was even just then that I realized, we were starting in a group session context. I immediately knew I wanted to go a little bit deeper one-on-one. It's like, all right, let me get through this group situation, and then we were going to work together one-on-one.
Yeah.
So would you say that what you kind of just described is what sort of differs you from your average coach?
Yeah, I have, absolutely.
Because you're right, it is a lot about the rah, rah, rah. And for you,
it's a lot like, it's like, give me a hug, give me an A, give me an R. Oh, okay, I don't do that. And I say this immediately, no, that I cannot do it. Of course I can. But I think as a limit life shelf, the way I say, it's very short, because you're going to always need somebody that is, but what I want you to become is exactly Simone Biles. She fell right on her face. And then she stood up and she finished. And the same day, then, this is what, even her interview, the most important thing is that great to know who you are. Because you will always develop, or even more so, produce. You will always produce results to the level of your preparation. So I prepare you. So
you will always produce results to the level of your preparation.
Always.
I like that.
Always. You're never going to turn more pirouettes on stage. Trust me. Never. You're always going to produce the result on the level of your preparation.
Yeah, it's like if you don't practice, you're not going to hit the stage and play the best guitar solo ever. It's just not going to happen.
No. And I know I have clients, coaches, that they're literally clients of mine. They come to me, and I have several, and they are coaches. And they are coaches, and I see that at a certain point there is not more. But if I do show you who you are in the world, not who you think you are, because what I think I am, I'm like, why are you guys following me? I don't know where I'm going. I'm learning from you. Literally, it's always been that way. It's always been that way. So, but if you get who you are for the world, then you have a responsibility, and you start really, moving, acting, speaking from that spot. So my first thing was, what do you want to? And I remember asked you, I said, what do you want to prove? And you were like, well, I want to impact people. I was like, okay, who? And you were very specific. This was the first conversation. I was like, all right, maybe I cannot teach you anything. Give me time. Give me until 4:00. It was an hour. And at the end, you were like, this is my check. Did we start already? But this is what it was. That was exactly the point. So I was not there to tell you how great you are, how young you are, you have the life in front of you, look at the no. Or come up with certain, I know how you have to do it. I want you to first of all see who you are for us. So anybody else that is not called Ariel Sassoon.
Well, I like what you said about once you realize who you are for the world, then what you do starts to feel like your responsibility, like your social impact. I think that's very, very powerful.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It was not even my idea. Somebody told me, Carmen, you helped me so much in my career. I'm here because of you.
Yeah.
Then somebody else told me the same thing. Because I interview people, what do you think I should do? And I was I was vice president of an incredible company. I'm not going to mention it, but one of the top in the world. Okay. And I was, I would like to do something else. And I remember I asked the top people, like, for top people, I mean extremely successful, everybody's great, right? And they all said the same thing. I'm here. Somebody said, my villa in Shelter Island is because of you. I would have never made this money. And again,
do you get to go stay there and as a guest?
Yes, exactly, absolutely. But can you see that when he gave me the quantity, I was like, really? He's like, Carmen, never. Thanks to you. Thanks because you were like so strategic about it. I was like, well, let me put together a little course. And that's how we started. And then I saw exactly what I was telling you, the impact.
Yes.
And, just like you, it's important for us. And I believe that every little body that I do talk to, anybody, has an impact they wants to produce. They just don't have the courage. Because if you ask, what's your passion? 5 minutes after, hello, are you here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is not easy to answer that question off the bat.
Of course not. They told you were wrong. You will never make money.
Because you feel like a lot of us feel like we like a million different things. It's hard to pinpoint
but
one
like
thing.
and passion is not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like and passion, I like perfume, I like a lot of things, right? I like, but there are, like, a passion is exactly gymnastic, like Olympics, like you get, like you almost cannot, you have to do it.
Yeah.
So that is a different thing. It's a different level of liking.
Yeah.
It's like does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, it's still sometimes, like, it's no longer a difficult question to answer, but I feel like my why evolves a lot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until recent years that I really felt like I found a why I could stick to, having that love for creativity, that love for hospitality, being the bridge between those two worlds, has like totally changed the outlook of how I think about my work. And that's what I love about the work you and I do together, is that I feel like once a year or every other year, we do a cycle of sessions. And in that cycle is usually where I unlock one or two new things that just like push me forward for the next year or 2 years. Like, for example, one of them, which is still on my board, is connection first. I wrote this down months ago, maybe 6 months ago, when we were having a conversation on the phone about it. And since then, it's like the main principle that I teach to my team, leading with connection when we're building new relationships. The same way when we're marketing homes, we lead with story. When it comes to new relationships, we lead with connection. And it's just been invaluable going through that. People have asked me many times why I don't work with a real estate coach. I tell them that it's generally because it's not real estate that I seek support with, but more so how I can continue to apply myself and my strengths to my work and the evolution of my career. Whenever I start to remove my passion or my why from the work to just make it about real estate or make it just about making money or getting through a financial hurdle, I slowly but surely begin to feel stuck. Usually that's preceded by a phone call with you. But what are some of the ways that a person can unlock the love that they have in their work and become happier and unstuck?
Okay. Oh, good. I love this question. Well, people are, different, right? I mean, we want to say, general people, but in reality, people are different. You said something so important. Do you know how many people are stuck out there in a wrong career?
I would imagine a lot.
Exactly. It's over 75%.
Wow.
This
Where
is
do you get that metric from, that statistic?
Oh, no, I have a lot of statistics. I can send them to you because I read constantly. This is really, I am telling you, like, knowing that I could make a difference, my first client, knowing that I could make like really a difference and being paid for something that I would do for free, because I do it for free several times.
Yeah, you've given me a tremendous amount of your time for free.
Yeah, because again, so imagine so what does it take to be unstuck? Is number one, courage. Without courage, stay where you're at, and it's okay. I'll see you in 30 years. You're still going to be unhappy. You're going to have some money in the bank working for the dreams of somebody else. And, with less hair in your head.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how it goes.
Courage.
But if it's courage. Without courage, go back home.
It's so interesting that you noted courage as your answer, because I actually have a quote here that I wanted to read to you about courage that I saw recently from a colleague of mine, a gentleman who I've become really, really close with. He was actually, I think, episode 3 or 4 of this podcast. His name is Brandon Bogard. He wrote this on his story, and I screenshotted it. He says, to become incredible at anything, you need both courage and confidence. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the difference, let me break it down for you. Confidence feels good. Courage does not. But here is the kicker. Courage is what builds confidence. So with that, how do you normally advise a client who struggles with courage? Because saying have courage, it's a difficult task.
I never say have courage.
Yeah.
I say you can stay where you're at, or we can do something about it. And nobody wants to stay where they're at. Okay, great. So the moment that they move into the moment that they do a step toward, that's the courage.
Yeah.
And then the rest becomes history.
So it's like you help them see the implications of staying where they are if they don't change.
Oh, yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
I say, it's okay, you can stay. You have a good job, right? You have a good job. How much do they pay you? And you can see the face of the people. They're like, I hate my boss. Like they change, they get like, no, I mean, you can. I just want you to know that you're no force to do something else.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, I want to do it. Oh, okay, you want to do it? Okay, so. And it becomes immediate. They are like, can we start immediately? And this is the thing with me. I'm booked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have like 2 months. And this is where you see when somebody is really committed. And people are committed, but they do not know that they actually have a choice. They do. Because it doesn't look like that. It really does not. You know what I'm talking. It looks like, okay, oh my God, my bills, my this, my that. Listen, I'm a single mother in New York City. This is not even my country, or now is my city. I mean, I love, right? But 26 years ago, my son is 26 years old. I mean, it was not like that. And still I decided to become single. Still I decided to do everything that I've done.
Yeah.
In an industry, fashion, that is incredibly difficult. But I didn't have it that it was difficult. That's another word that I cancel from my vocabulary. And when I have a client of mine that she says, oh, I'm doing this, you know how difficult it is. If you say so, that's how it's going to be.
cancel difficult. I'm going to write that
No,
down.
it's just, is it called? It's called things that you have to do.
Yeah.
When I didn't drive the car, driving was difficult. That's why I never drove.
Well, doing the thing we have to do is often the thing that we're most afraid of. I think that's something I've taken away from your work, not only as it relates to me, but of the other clients of yours that I've had the pleasure of meeting and talking to, one of which was actually in this chair several weeks ago, Aislinn.
Oh, yeah.
She shared with me the story about how she was offered a position at a big company, and you basically said to her, you need to say no. And like, when she said that story, it was like positively triggering in that I thought of like the times that you advised me to make a decision that was like, what the fuck? Like, why would I do that? Yeah. Or like when I was deciding between going from Compass to Sirhan, Compass offering me a 6-figure signing bonus and you saying you should say no and go to where they're giving you nothing. And those moments, it's like I think like the moments that test our levels of courage are the ones that create the biggest triumph.
Yes. So I want to say one thing. I say this often with friends and family, and with actually my son a lot, Andres, which has been, I learned so much from him because he taught me to be more courageous than I could possibly ever be. Oh, yeah.
Is that just from being a mother or something he specifically does?
Being his mother.
Being his
mother. Such a special kid. And all of our kids are special. But that's what Andres, is. I remember once being very upset, like coming back. And for me, work was easy. I don't know how, right? But for me, work was easy. Like, it was fun. It's so, I'm competitive, right? So it's like, but one day really coming back and saying, I don't know. I just don't know if I want to go on. And Andres said, like, Mom, you can do anything. And it's funny, right? Because this is something that I say often to him. And then I looked at him, and he just did like very slowly with his head. Like, but that he wasn't even saying it to be a cheerleader. He was like,
yeah,
and,
he was
and I was
reassuring.
Like, and again, being connected to who you are in the world. And that's where actually I took the decision to say, I'm going to leave fashion. I left fashion in a moment where fashion went boom. And that was so smart. You don't know how
you
many.
got out right on time.
I got it right on the top. I was like, you know what?
And
then I was like, good luck to all of you, right? Yeah, and I'm making a comeback because the right time.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I have questions about your comeback. Don't worry.
Yeah, so yeah, and you can decide, and most of us, right, me included, right, most of us, we give up our dreams for a fat check. The check, I remember that check was a lot of money, a lot of power. I don't even remember how many people reported to me, how many manufacturers, I mean, there was these things, Carmen Pucci's in the house going on, like, but it numbed my dreams. And I left my country for my dreams. I fought to be in this city for my dream. My dreams are kings. So I was like, no. And I go back to the question of courage. I can have a nice life. I can be in 5-star hotel with gloves and open, oh, Signora Pucci. But is this really what make my heart beat? And the answer was no. And you need the courage to ask yourself and then start to see what is the impact. And generally, you're already doing that impact. That impact that you want to produce, you're already doing it in smaller version. Ask people. People will tell you. When people say, I don't know what I'm passionate about, go ask your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. They will tell you what is that you don't stop talking about.
Yeah.
Me, I spoke a lot about career, the importance of career for people, for their own, for the value that they give to themselves.
Wow. What generally separates a strong leader from a weak one?
Oh, reactions.
Reactions.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, reactions. Like a strong leader is somebody that can be with anything, can be with failure. That's because that's where you learn
It's just how you handle.
how you handle. Like, so am I going to tell you, oh, wait a minute, who is fire the person? That's not a leader. Something is happening, it's a new idea. How is your reaction? Are you the first to say, come on, everybody, let's go? That's a leader. Or you say, you start going, then tell me how it is. Is it, it's a fire over there. You're the first that goes and be like, okay, that is reaction. How do you react to what's happening? Success or failure or anything, like, or competition. How do you react? Do
you keep it together?
Do you keep it together? You go there and learn. You be like, okay, wow, how did they do that? How did they do? Or you stay stuck, like, no, we do it this way. And I come from a country that Italy, which I mean, I love Italy. We both love Italy, right? And where unfortunately the leadership is not necessarily there. Like, there is this resistance to, we do it our own way, but this is also this genius that Italians are.
I feel like it's inherently European, the stubbornness, or we do it our own way.
That's true. That's true. But
in
Italians,
Italy,
in Italy is another level.
Yeah, like that. I think that phrase "they're out to lunch" comes from Italy.
Yes.
Because they're always out to lunch.
Yes.
It's like
it's
3 hour lunch. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that.
Absolutely. But the creativity compensate that stubbornness in Italy. Nobody is as creative as Italians.
Oh, I like that. The creativity compensates for the stubbornness.
Completely.
Wow. I like that a lot. Speaking of which, you left your home country in Italy when you were very young to pursue your dreams. Yeah. You had a career as a dancer, you had a career in fashion, and now you have a career in leadership. So what prompted you to make that decision at first when you left? Did you have a plan?
No.
How old were you when you left?
19.
19, and you just decided to pick up and go.
Well, it's not that I decided to pick up and go. I saw an opportunity. This is so important, this question. This is so great.
That's what we're here for.
I love your question. This is phenomenal. So when you look, when you have a dream and then you look for opportunities versus what I don't have. Because the opportunities, I promise you, they're out there. When people say, yeah, but who are the customers? Oh, everybody. Just pick the niche. People really don't, but as soon as they do the exercise, they really see what I'm talking about. They come back to me with stories. And I tell you, I'm always learning from you guys. This is like a give and take, you know what I mean? It's not give, But it's really, I had this dream. I knew that I had a talent. I knew it. And I knew it that where I was not possible for me to develop the life that I wanted to have. And I, again, very courageous. I left with very little money, and I kept on creating, or actually I kept on taking the opportunities and to move forward. When I ended up in this incredible school, like an academy, dance academy in Munich, it was scary. It was the only dancer accepted that year.
Was that the first stop you left?
No.
Sardinia?
I went to Rome to study. I went to Rome
to
study, right? And for 1 year, I did like pretty good. I mean, like, but again, how do you live when your first year in Italy? 30 at the time was the top, and I think till to this, now too in college, I gave 3 exams, and it was 27, 30, and 30. Pretty good, right? And I was like, great. I don't care about this. I just don't. I just performed.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. I perform. I study. I perform. But I was like, what if I use it where I want to really, and my family said, we are not going to support you studying anything else. We're not going to support you, blah, blah. I was like, okay, then I got to go.
Yeah.
And my father said, I see you in 3 days. And he kept counting until, he got tired.
Till today. Well, what did the thought ever cross your mind to? I mean, your father owns pretty much the most famous bakery in Sardinia.
Oh, yeah.
So, did the thought ever cross your mind to go into the baking business?
No.
Never.
Never.
Do you know how to bake?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
You must.
Everybody
does.
does.
You must be a good baker.
Pretty good.
Like growing up, did you
Yeah.
learn how to bake all the good stuff?
Yes, because my father is the second generation. My brother is the third generation. I mean, we are talking about.
Wow.
Real, this
What's-
is in our house. The way my father tastes something is not the
Yeah.
way anybody tastes something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
it's
what's
different.
like the number one thing? Like nobody bakes this better than your father.
My father or my brother? My father.
Better than the Puccis. Nobody bakes this item
Oh.
better than you guys.
Okay, it's difficult. But I would say, first of all, their crema, right? So the bakery is called La Speciale, which is called the special one, right? Translated. And you know why?
La
Because,
Speciale.
La Speciale. Because anybody said, listen, I don't like cream, but your cream is so special. So my father was like, when they had to say, listen, after 1 year or two, they were like, you have to come up with a name. My mother said, la crema speciale, la speciale. And then it became La Speciale. So it's like, I would say the brioche, the way, also another one is the zeppole. Nobody does zeppole like my father. No one in the world. I tried everyone. No, it's incredible.
I love
It's
zeppoles.
literally, it's insane. If you try, I remember friends of mine like Paul and Rodrigo, people coming from other cities, right? Coming to Sardinia, and I would be like, let's go to my parents. And they were like, oh, we never try something like that. This is crazy. My father is also Sicilian, so it's like, he should write a book about his passion. Again, this is a man, I think I took a lot from my father, because this is a man that was very passionate.
Went all in on that.
All in.
Yeah.
All in. And my mother was just like, yep, I know we're expensive, but you're buying from us. He's like the two of them, the artist and the marketer. My mother it's an incredible marketer.
I love that. So you left Italy. You went to Rome to study.
Yeah.
You went to Munich. You did dancing for a long time.
Yes, I did dancing for a long time. Yeah.
You moved into fashion.
I danced, then I moved to I stayed in Paris. I went to, what was that? It was Madrid. Like I traveled, and then I ended up in New York City,
Yeah.
and then I won a
So
scholarship.
it wasn't until New York that you moved into the fashion business.
Oh, yes, no, it was. But I was always into fashion.
And
Always into fashion.
how long was your career in fashion?
Well, if we count so Andres is 26, it was about 25 years, 24 years.
Wow. What would you say, like, how has the fashion industry changed over the last 10 to 15 years?
Is it recognizable? They're two different businesses.
Yeah.
It's really like two different businesses. Now, it's like, say, the difference between basketball and soccer, they both use ball, but in a different way, right? So, sure, they're both creating
I like that
clothing.
analogy. That's a good one.
Yes, I like it too. Can you take notes? Oh, no, I
Don't worry.
forgot. We're recording. It's okay.
There will be notes.
There will be notes.
There'll be plenty of notes.
So, fashion was really, and when I entered, I was so lucky to work with the best, the top in the world. I remember entering as an assistant at Calvin Klein. I'm really lucky, and again, you can say, did you have a plan? No, but I kept on looking for opportunity, and then probably there's another story. How did I really enter as a dancer, choreographer in a fashion business, right? Calvin Klein, the top one, right? But so going back, I, at that time, fashion was a creative business that made a lot of money. But it was really, you saw that the designers, first of all, were designers. We're not just stylists and putting things together, it's fine. but it's a different business. Like, like they had something to say. And that's why you could see the difference between, at the time, let's say, Versace, Armani, Dior, Dolce & Gabbana, Ralph Lauren, right? Like they had their own language. And the women and men, were attracted by this language. So Calvin was very modern, right? Took Armani and modernized it, right? Dolce & Gabbana, it was like totally the Mediterranean women, the Italian women, the sensuality. Like, Yves Saint Laurent was the dangerous woman, and Dior was like, the French girl, like I'm not making it like very simple, but there was a language. It was their language, right? Like when you look at it now, so what happened is, first of all, Zara came in and started copying, and there is a lot of people might underestimate the power of Zara, but actually, Zara had an incredible power in kind of making fashion basic. Everybody started to, like, I remember there was a time there, like the colors, nobody had courage anymore. This is so perfect. Everybody was like kind of basic. It became basic. And I remember saying, if I want basic, I go to Banana Republic. I don't go to, I just don't do that. It was so, the creativity left the house. And when creativity leaves the house, it's only clothes.
Right. And this might be a hot take, but I feel like fashion used to be a lot more unapologetic. And now it's like, it doesn't matter what you look like, put on underwear and get on the front of the magazine, and it's like, not to offend anyone, I just find that it's like, they're just trying to please everybody now, where it used to be like, we don't give a shit what you think.
It's not for everybody. I go back and, it's not for everybody. And when you look at the Row, for example, right? When you look at the Row, the Olsen sisters, they're like, it's not for everybody. It's too expensive. You're right. Go somewhere else.
Right.
Like and that's the language. That's their language. And at the moment, creativity and courage, because to be creative, you gotta be courageous.
Yeah.
You cannot be,
You have to be willing to trust your taste.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to trust your position.
And to fail.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that, that was, to me, when I started to see over and over as a, responsible for development, right hand of designers, that over and over, we were doing the same things. I was like, this is boring. We were just repeating things. And I said, like, no, that's to me, I'm a creative person. I was a choreographer. I need to change. I need to, there is nothing better than creating something new, not just for the newness of it, but to develop, right? And fashion lost that because I believe because there were too many investors put their money in it, and the investor will actually cut. They're interested in the return. And that's why, in my opinion, that's what happened. It happened in music too.
Yeah.
So I have nothing against investors, but investors want the return as fast as possible.
Yeah, well, it's the same idea. Like, if I relate it to my business, a home seller doesn't think the same way a developer does. Look, a developer, they're building 100 homes at a time. They don't see it as a story to be told. They don't see what's really necessary in order to create impact and interest. For them, it's numbers. It's numbers on a screen. And I talk about this all the time. I genuinely believe that the real estate business and the selling homes business are very, very different.
Yeah.
One is very emotional. It's a business of the heart. And the other is the business of the brain. It's analytical. It's like left brain, right brain. It's really, very, very different in how we think about it.
Yeah. And that's one day I said, okay, if I wanted to work in a business that it was about numbers, I would be in a bank. And that's when I was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I think it was similar for me too. I interned for 3 years in finance, and it wasn't for me. I knew what I could like make money wise, but I knew that I'd just be sitting in a chair my whole life.
Right. But there are people, and I do work with a lot of investors, that they have the ability to be creative in this in investing money. They are
Yeah.
creative. They have, so not me. My creativity is not there. Right, so I was put in like, all of a sudden I felt it in a, being in a business where nobody was excited. No one was excited. I was like, no. And it is crazy. My son was already, ready to go to college. I mean, but no, I'm glad I did it.
You have, on the heels of that, because you addressed this a little bit, so you may have already kind of answered this question, but I think I want you to go a little deeper on it. But you have recently made a comeback in the world of fashion. I spoke with Aislinn, as I mentioned on this podcast, and she shared the exciting growth of Ours, the brand that you guys are currently working on. And when I look at that brand, I feel like I can see you a little bit, in how the brand is marketed and a little bit of the style. Is there a statement that you're looking to make with this work in the world of fashion?
Is a statement?
Like, now that you're coming back, are you trying to make a statement at all in the context of fashion?
No, I'm just being present to beauty and elegance. That is actually kind of disappeared, became a rare thing,
I hear that. Oh, that's the statement.
All right, then.
That
That's
elegance has become a rare thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a lighter question for you.
Okay, I'm going to take a sip of coffee.
Please, relax. I have I've spoken with a lot of very powerful women on this podcast, but one thing I noticed about you, and you've spoken about this before, is that you are a connoisseur of perfumes and scent. Yeah. You've gifted me candles, and you're about scent. So this was a question that just came to my mind, a little bit of a lighter one. But if you had to assign 3 perfumes to a woman for the following 3 occasions, what would they be? Number 1, a business meeting. Number 2, a first date. And number 3, a confrontation meeting. So for a business meeting, what perfume would you spray?
Definitely agree. Okay, so there are several. Okay, but I'm gonna go into like the families. All right. Definitely for a meeting, you want people to listen to you. So you would use a green, not sweet, no vanilla. Don't go there. Don't go vanilla. First of all, you should never go vanilla. But sorry, ever. But a green. So for example, Prada has a lot of perfumes like that. The Iris d'Orange, right? Like something that has iris, something that has even. Like I say, green. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Figs, like that as a green, because first of all, you're going to be sharp, because that's what happened. This is one of, perfume is, when you meet somebody, right? There is the look, but the smell is very important. It's
very important. We think about smell a lot when we talk about homes and all that.
All that, exactly. So definitely green, because they will be concentrated, will be focused on you. You will be focused, and they will focus.
I like that.
This is for a woman, right?
Yeah, no, we're talking specifically for a woman.
The other one is?
A first date.
Oh, a first date, something, well, first of all, it depends. Where are you going? Are you going to the beach? Are you going to,
No, you're sitting down for dinner.
Oh, you're sitting down for dinner.
And you're sitting down next to each other.
Oh, you're sitting down next to each other. Okay. Is the first, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. So you obviously want the other person to be interested but not nauseated, right? Yeah. So nothing tobacco, nothing too much evening, not too much something strong as Chanel No. 5. It's too or Coco Chanel, it's too much, but something that has a little bit of orange. So orange. Why do I say that? Men have a specific, men and women, but specifically men, they have a very an interest to anything that is orange or salty or like water. Like
that's what I wear. I wear the Hermes orange concentrate.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Right?
Or the Terre d'Hermes.
There is something calming, a little bit sensual, but not sexy.
No.
It's not sexy. If it
When I
makes
spray that, I feel like I'm in Europe.
exactly,
You know.
and it makes people feel comfortable, right? So I would say, I would definitely say that I like anything that is not, don't put too much like rose, lilies, like that. No, don't go there. Like and it's funny because people go there, or again, run away from vanilla. Okay, you see
great.
vanilla, just turn around. Just,
I love this. What about for a confrontation? If
for
you're
it.
sitting down to either confront an issue or to fire someone or to get angry.
Okay, yeah, there's 3 different perfumes. So the confrontation, of course, you're going there. So there is something important for me in confrontation. I don't start a confrontation, but I don't, what do you say? I'm not timid. I don't run away from it, right? So confrontation is not always like, oh, I'm gonna talk. For example, me in confrontation, I barely speak. And my silence is extremely loud.
Yes, it is.
Because you clearly know, or what is she, sort of, right? So it depends on how you want to, how do you want to be? Again, reactions. Me in difficult situation, when somebody is losing it, I just like, I'm not retreat.
Yeah.
And I look at you like I'm like, okay. I'm just looking for, here.
So what do you want to smell like in that moment?
So, in that moment, I would smell like, what? There is a perfume that I bought in Paris. It's over $1,000.
Over $1,000, huh?
I'm gonna send you a picture of it. And it is from, hold on, it's gonna come to me. It's, it's noir. It's something that here, then you go into something like that has tobacco, that has like, earth. So you are standing. You see, the first one they fix is like more about focusing, but it's airy, it's easy, right? But this one is like, you're screwing with the wrong girl.
Love that.
Yes, it's gonna come to me like the name of the perfume before the end of today. Like oh God, ugh. He has to come to me. Like, and it's a very specific perfume, and it's phenomenal. But it's because that perfume is gonna, first of all, it's not about being aggressive, but it's about being, this is my position, not another step.
All right, so what we'll do is you'll remember it. You'll tell me later. I'm gonna
picture.
display it on the screen right now for everyone to see. Okay, perfect. Okay, I want to change gears here to something deeply personal. You ready?
Sure.
In 2021, there was a period of about 5 or 6 months where you and I didn't speak. Not by design. We just, we're both doing our things in life or whatever. It wasn't for a particular reason other than we briefly lost touch just due to life. But when we finally reconnected to speak on the phone, we were catching up, and I had mentioned to you that my wife and I were going through a bit of a challenging time in our journey to have children. And it was then that you revealed to me your reason for the silence over the last several months. You revealed to me on that call that you had recently been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. My heart sank when you revealed this news at first, but actually quickly resurfaced, because in the same breath that you revealed the fight you were now in for your life, you said to me, "I'm going to win." And the exact quote was, because I don't think I'll ever forget it, is, "I've been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and I'm going to beat it." It was at that moment that I realized you weren't just going to beat cancer, but you were going to beat the shit out of it. Not because of the strength and resilience of your body, but because of the strength and resilience of your mind. Looking at you now, I never would have known that you went through such a battle. Even when you were in the thick of your struggle and we saw each other, you never wavered from your mindset. So my question to you is, how did you use your mind to heal your body?
Well, then, this is great. So, It's so interesting because when you said that I disappeared, it reminds me again of Andres telling me, Mom, stop being awkward about it. Like, and I said, no, it's not awkward. I just don't want to disturb. I am the one that has to resolve that. This. Yeah. I wasn't ashamed or anything. There is nothing to be ashamed of. I was just like, I don't want to disturb people. And I want people to feel sorry for me because I'm going to beat this. So, my mind, to explain that, I'm going to tell you a story.
Please.
So, doctors, when they tell you, they're very, they don't want to scare you because being scared, being worried, is going to actually give you more problem, right? Particularly for cancer, for tumors, and particularly for breast cancer. So I remember that I was sitting, and then all of a sudden, so this the oncologist, my doctor, this lady, fantastic lady, and then they called the oncologist surgeon, and then it was like the assistant. And I looked at them, right? And they were like, okay, so, this is the situation, and we think you have to do this and this and that, right? And I just literally, was sitting in the bed, and I, put my head down, right? And so they say, no, it's okay. Just look, these are all the tests that you have, and literally there were about 20 tests before you go into chemo, and and I had to do chemo, and I had to do like surgery, and I had to do radiation, right? So and they don't tell you everything, they just tell you a little bit, but they give you this 20 pages, and those 20 pages are basically all the tests that you have to make. You call and you take an appointment. And she said, listen, they were looking at each other, right? And they said, and my son was sitting actually there. And they said, look, just go home, talk to your family, think about it, what you want to do. And I remember I was thinking, should I just let go? Should I just let go? And I had a wonderful life. Travel around the world, a lot of friends, my son is doing great. Like literally, there is not a lot that I don't have or that I should have done. I don't feel like that. I feel I did what I wanted to do, literally. Should I just let go and then, keep this money and leave it for my son? Literally, this is what I was thinking. Or should I just go ahead and fight for it, and who knows how much it's going to cost? Like, the whole thing, right? But they were talking. Then they stopped talking. I remember there was silence. And there was this pages, and basically I decide, no, I want to see Andres' kids.
I'm gonna fight.
And then I looked at her and I said, what did you just say? And she said, just go home, think about it, but don't think for too long. You have it's aggressive. Your cancer is aggressive. And I said, this is not my cancer. It was just passing through me. And I have nothing to think about it. So I gave the think back. So they're looking at each other. I gave the think back to the doctor. And I said, you tell me where and at what time and when I have to go to this test. She said, well, what about your calendar? No, I'll make it happen. This is priority. And so she looked at Andres like, is she always like this? And Andres was like, yeah. Yeah.
So Andres knew it too.
And Andres, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then I asked him to remove himself from remember, this was in the midst of COVID-19. And so for me, it was like, and then Andres, he lost his job. I mean, there's so many things happen. I was like, where would you like to be?
When it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours. I said, where would you like to be? And he was like, I'm taking care of you. I said, you're taking care of me? What? I said, where would you like to be? And he said Colorado. And I said, okay, you go to your room and you look at everything you can do in Colorado exactly in the resort that you want to be. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, I know that in certain moments, right, being on my own. And I know I have a friend of mine, Robin, she's also extremely like that. I know I can take care of myself.
She went through a similar journey as well.
Similar journey, absolutely. And she's a powerhouse and she's an inspiration. Oh my God. And I can see it's not isolation. It's like, okay, I'm going to take care of myself right now. You know, and that's why I was very happy for Andres to go to Colorado, because really, and the rest, and he's still there, is Andres is Colorado with his girlfriend and everything. My friends were very important, because when I announced this to a group of them and say, listen, I'm asking Andres to leave, so can I count on you? Everyone was just like, Pavel was amazing, Lehman was amazing. I mean, Kim, tomorrow's her birthday. Like it was, they were like really incredible, and I will never ever forget it in my life, because it's really counting on them and counting on myself. But you know, that moment where it's like, but I asked myself, I really did, should I just let it go? And I was okay with it. That's the thing. I had the freedom. I was not desperate. I was like, I could let go. I could just like, okay, and then slowly but surely I would die. But I would like to see Andres' kids. Boom.
Yeah.
You see, it's the same thing as you can stay where you're at. It's okay. You have a job. That's the worst case scenario. But there is also something better out there. And then you jump into the something better.
So as far as you're concerned, you just did what you always do and what you always advise people to do.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you beat this thing in like 5 months.
Yeah, very fast.
That's crazy.
So I had a, third stage advanced, and everybody was scared. And so we started with the chemo, but I attack it from every angle. So that regular, chemo, right, doctor. And again, I didn't know, but they told me 2 years after, you never missed. You're the only patient we have that never missed an appointment. How did you do it? I was like, I don't know. I thought that was the most important thing to do. I didn't feel like, oh, maybe today. No, I was like an Olympics athlete, right? That was my thing. But it was really, I attack it from natural, like I had, and they gave me a diet that was the most crazy diet that I'm still following.
I remember.
Crazy. I was screaming at him on the phone. You want me dead?
Yeah,
No
like
coffee, no bread, no pasta. I'm Italian. You want me? He was laughing just like you. But I did it. And when I went there, after the second chemo, the doctor couldn't believe it. It was like, Carmen, we can find it.
Wow.
So, a lot of prayers and a lot of, meditation, lots of it. I still do.
Well, that's kind of like the root of the question. You're talking about meditation, and I think like where I was getting at is that your story is proof to some degree or a major degree that the mind can heal the body.
Oh, for sure. The body heals itself.
Yeah.
The body, you just need to follow certain things. And yes, of course, there are chronic, of course, there are certain things you cannot do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
But you want to really try. Your mind, and let me tell you, is when you have like, no, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's like the placebo effect.
Completely the placebo effect.
You recommended that book to me by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I read like a third of it because eventually it just becomes like one story after another.
Exactly.
But so it's kind of like if you're ever in the mood to read a good story, you can open up that book. But I just found it so interesting, some of these stories, like people who, were unable to walk for years because of bad knees.
Yep.
And all they did was make one incision and then sew it right back up. They didn't do anything to the knee. But when the patient woke up, he believed that he was okay.
Yep.
And then he started walking.
Oh, absolutely.
It's unreal.
There's so many stories like that. So the mind is, and so again, this is why I start with who you are in the world. Because I always say, I don't care if you believe them or not. This is who you are. Then eventually you will believe.
I recently had an entrepreneur on this podcast. I asked him a question. I said, can you teach entrepreneurship? And his answer was interesting. He said, you cannot teach mindset. He said, you can go through something in your life that changes your mindset, but you cannot teach someone how to have the right mindset to succeed. My question to you is, do you agree with that statement or do you disagree?
I disagree. And again, if somebody is absolutely committed, I saw it over and over.
Yeah.
I make games out of it. I do. I have clients that they always complain. And then I start saying, all right, fine, look, I'll give you 2 minutes to complain. Go ahead.
Yeah,
And
you tell that to me too.
You know.
You have 2 days to sulk, and then you have to stop.
And then come back. Just by sulk, really very good.
Make a sulk.
And then you realize.
If you're going to sulk, do it good.
Yeah. I have for CEOs, particularly men, right, when they complain or there is something they say, like, I got to tell you, my wife. Okay, great. Every time you say something negative, your wife, wherever you are, is like, you have going to jump, like, jumping jacks, 10.
Yeah.
And they end up doing it in front of their people who work for them or in the restaurant. And then they realize how stupid it is. And, listen, I come from a country where, like even our religion, we are born and we are wrong. I want to say something. If anybody that is really hearing this right now, if you have the opportunity, the possibility to watch the Olympics and you see culture, the gymnast, for example, when Simone Biles fell, and not just her, when they fell and then they came back, you have this, you see the other one, come on, you did it, it's okay, it's gonna be good. This is American. I remember thinking, this think pink, I don't know if it works, but they taught me that it actually works. Just this kind of like, count your blessing, same thing. You see, the Italians, as soon as they did something not perfect, not bad, not perfect, and even the coaches, you could see, just watch it. I saw that the what was it, the volleyball, Japan and Italy, Italians, and again, they were losing 2-0. And I looked at them and I was with friends and I bet money. I said, I bet $100 Italians going to win. Everybody was like, okay, I won a lot of money. Probably going to go to dinner all together. But really, because I was like, no. And what told me, it was not what they were doing. I was looking at them. You see, when you look at them, when you look at Djokovic and Carlitos, right? Like, when you look at the Alcaraz, you really see in their eyes. Because at that level, they both the same. Mm. But when you give up or when you make yourself wrong, you already lost.
Well, on the heels of that, was there ever a moment in private, away from your friends, that you broke, that you felt unsure about your chances of survival?
Let me think. But things were going well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was afraid. Was I afraid? Yes, several times. But that didn't stop me. I always say, be afraid, do it anyway.
You're not a very religious person, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't go to church.
Yeah, all right. So what advice would you give to someone struggling to find the mental fortitude to reverse their struggle and force themselves not to give up when they have nothing spiritual or religious to really lean on? I think that my religion and my spirituality gives me an advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah, your religion particularly is amazing.
It gives me an advantage because I genuinely believe that everything comes from above. That being said, it's also written in the text that in order to get what you want from above, you have to put the work in. You must put the work in. So, yeah, what advice would you give to someone who doesn't have something like that?
And they want to succeed?
Yeah, they want to not give up.
If you don't have a spiritual belief, somehow you already give up. You give up on yourself. You did. It becomes about numbers, about things. But spirituality is the magic of life. It's like love. How can you, I remember how many times. How do you know you were in love with? If I explain it to you,
Yeah, you can't
it's
really
not
explain
love.
it.
You can't.
You can't really explain it.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. Like I knew the first moment I saw Deborah walking down the sidewalk that I was going to marry her.
Yeah.
I just knew it.
And I remember when you
I
told
can't
me.
explain that. I don't know
No.
where what that is.
No, because again, is the being human, and human beings are spiritual.
Inherently, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If there was one question you could ask God, what would that question be?
Why do you make it so difficult?
Because you make it difficult for me. So this is payback.
I saw on Instagram these things like, oh, we trying to understand God's plan, right? And it was this guy was like, why? What? Reading the Bible. What? Why? What? Why? What? Oh, that's why. Oh, okay.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Okay, now it makes sense. I would first, before asking question, I would thank him.
I
I'd be
love that
grateful.
response.
It was something that my health condition brought me, being grateful for everything.
Perspective.
So, exactly, if anything, now going back to, to just start being grateful. If you don't start being grateful, I'm grateful to finding a park. Thank you, parking gods.
Yeah. Well, you've encouraged me more than once to have a bit more perspective in the way I think about things.
But that's
'Cause
spiritual.
it's like I get very, I get stuck when I'm stressed financially. And sometimes it's like you're almost like slapping me in the head, and it's like, come on, like have a little perspective. Look at what you have. You have everything.
Amazing.
Right.
Incredible family, wonderful wife. Like father, there is I love Charles. Just like you can't. Wow, that's rich.
Yes.
That's if it's like, what is rich for you? Rich for me is lots of good friends, really good friends.
Yeah.
It's my son doing great. I'm doing great. Wonderful house to be with. Come on.
Yeah. Well, you're now in a time in your life where you're not only healthy, thank God, but you are renewed. You have a continuously growing and expanding career. You have a son who's building his own business too. You own your home. You have decades of wisdom and success to look back on. So now that you've entered this third act of life,
Okay.
what's next for you?
Well, I am actually starting to look into it. Literally, the month of August is dedicated to that.
And it's so funny. Like Gary Vee has a famous video called August. He releases it every year on the 1st of August, and it's all about how when everybody else is just stepping away, your foot on the gas.
That's what I do. Foot on the gas.
I love that.
Yep.
I love
Exactly.
that.
Now.
Is there a single message or a word of wisdom you would leave the world with if you were to leave it tomorrow?
A single message. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Peace. And when I say for peace, it's like be in peace with yourself, with who you are and who you're not.
Internal peace.
If you have internal peace, you have peace.
You have everything.
You have everything. Yeah. Be really grateful for who you are, for what you created, and for what you didn't create. Be grateful for that too.
I love that. And with that, I thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom. I look forward to many, many more healthy years of friendship and success. I admire you beyond words, and I'm so grateful that we found each other because it's done wonders for me personally, for my career, for my life. And I always get excited at the idea of introducing you to someone or sharing your words of wisdom. And I appreciate everything that you've given me, especially your time, which I know is the most valuable thing I could ask for.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing some of that with this audience.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for having me here. This is wonderful. I love what you created here.
Thank you.
This is really amazing.
Thank you. Well, this is a lot of it comes from your encouragement. I've told the story before, but when I was first thinking of getting into video, we were standing on Fifth Avenue on the sidewalk, and it was like the first week of January in 2016 or 2000, no, it was 2016. And I took out my phone and I showed you, he's like, what do you think of this video? It was like my first vlog. And you looked at it and you watched it silently. And then you looked, okay, this is great. How many of these can you make? So I think I can do one a week. Okay. 52.
I remember that.
One per week.
Yes.
For the next year. And that decision catapulted my career, not just from a number standpoint, but it literally unlocked who I am in this business.
You were right at that.
Which is a creator.
Yeah, creator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a creator. It's a producer. It's why I don't feel married to real estate as a context. Real estate to me is just a context.
Absolutely. You could do anything inside of that. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally see that. But I said but, and generally but cancel what you said before. So I'm going to say and.
And.
Yes, I suggested it, and you did it. Again, the courage. You did it. This is how it shows. You could have said no, but you did it. It's amazing. So
thank you.
Beautiful. I love you. You are the best. I admire you. I know that this is just the beginning. You know, I can't wait for your next level where you're going.
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy that you'll be part of that journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Carmen. That was good. That was fun.
You like it?
Yeah.